Okay, good morning. Today you're going to learn how to construct a box using the score and slip method. The requirements for this is it has to be, first of all, how thick? Quarter inch. So it has to be quarter-inch thick. No, I want you over here. Thank you. Quarter-inch thick. The height and width of the box has to be at least 4 by 4, 6 by 6, somewhere between 4 to 6 inches. It has to have a lid. The lid has to have a lip and a handle. It has to be even and smooth and finished to completion. Okay. So that's the requirements. Once again, quarter-inch thick, 4 to 6 inches in some measurement. Has to be even. Has to have a lid. The lid has to have a lip and a handle. Okay. So first thing you do is you're going to either cut out squares. If you're geometrically challenged, we have templates like this, and they're in the box right down there. So you have templates like this you can trace. You need at least 6 squares. Okay, you need at least 6 squares. I just rolled these out last night and just roll a slab and I'll cut out the squares. But I would probably cut out at least 7 or 8 in case you make a mistake. Okay. So this is leather hard, so it's stiff. Leather hard means that if you were to bend it, it's flexible to some degree, but if you bend it too much, it's going to break. Okay. You cannot blend pieces together; they're not going to stay. So in order to attach pieces together, that's why we use the score and slip method. Anything that's leather hard like this, do not put back in the buckets that we use. Put it in the recycled buckets over there. Okay, so do not put it back in there because you don't want to use it. Hard clay, you don't want to leave it for somebody else. Also, do not put wet clay in those buckets. I've been finding wet clay in there. If it can squash it pretty well, then you can still add some water to it. I'm going to make the box for this demonstration smaller than what you will make it. I'll make it usually 3 by 3. When you cut leather hard clay, you may not be able to cut it all at once, so you have to like score it and keep running it down and down and down until it cuts all the way through. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3. Mark here. 6. Oops. So 3, 6, 9. Remember when you roll a slab out like you did for your bowl? You can roll once or twice, and then turn it over. Once or twice, turn over. Once or twice, turn over. Yeah, that's right. This method is good if you are very particular. If you like model building, this is kind of like a method that it's very kind of precise. You have to be precise about this. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm measuring this. Use this. This is an L square. Like if you wanted to roll, if you're making, you're not gonna use a template. You want to make your own squares. You can use this. These are hanging right over there. There's large ones. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I have 9 squares, so I'm not going to use. So 7. Okay, first thing you can do is you can pick your best one for your bottom and your top. So I'm going to use this for the top, and I'm going to use this for the bottom. This is side 2. Okay, so if I have my bottom and my 4 sides, will they fit on top of my base? Will they fit on top of my base? No, because they're all the same size, correct? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the thickness of the wall. So that's about a 1/4 inch. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off one side. So I'm going to make sure I do it evenly. So about a 1/4 inch. Okay. So this is now what shape? A rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my template for my other walls. So I'm going to put this on top of my other wall. And I'm going to trim all my walls so they're all the same shape. Okay. With other hard clay, you just can't cut it all at once, so just keep going over and over again until it goes all the way through. And my last wall. Now remember, you're only doing these to your wall. You're not doing it to your base. Just to your wall. Okay. These little pieces you can save because I can show what you can do with them later. So now I have my 4 walls. So make sure they go longwise up. Don't put them this way because they'll be the same width as the base again. So put them long side up. So they're all 4 walls, square base. Now I'm going to check it by putting these on here. And what you're going to do is these should butt up against each other. So each wall will butt up against the other wall. So it looks like that. You need to do this. So that's what it looks like. See how they butt up against each other? Okay. So that is done. So now you want to attach these together. You just can't just blend them together, and you just can't just use the slip. What you want to do is, it's called the score and slip method, because you're going to score the clay and create like teeth. And then you use the slip, like glue, to attach it together. All slip is, it's in the buckets, it's clay that's been dried, water's been added to it, it's been mixed with a mixer, and it makes like a paste. That's going to be your glue. Okay. So to score, the first thing you do is you're going to score everything first. So on the base, I'm going to score 1/4 inch all the way around on top of the base, because that's where my walls are going to go. I'm only going to do a corner for the demonstration because it would take too long to do the whole thing. So scoring, first thing I do is I'm going to go at a diagonal deeply into the clay. So I'm going at diagonal, one direction. Now I'm going to go in the opposite direction to make like cross hatching, like hashtag. Hashtag scoring. Then I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. I'm going to angle. And you want to score everything first before you even start slipping everything together, gluing everything together. So it looks rough like this. That's what it should look like. Okay, and you would do this all the way around on your base. So I would continue all the way around. Now for the wall, I'm going to do it on the bottom, of course, because that's where I'm attached to the base. But I'm also going to do the end wall because it's going to butt up against the wall. Then I would do the inside wall right here because it's going to, another wall is going to butt up against there. So you can score 3 places: the end, the bottom, and the inside wall. Okay. Now this is going to go here, so I'm going to do the end, the bottom, and then I would do the inside wall where this X is, but I'm not going to do that because in order to save time. So I'm going to do the bottom first. It's really important that you score well. If you don't score well, then your walls and your box will not attach very well. Okay. So this will score in the bottom, so it's going to go there. So now the end is, and that would score the inside wall here for the one that's going to butt up against here. Now this one I'm going to score the bottom. And remember, you'll be scoring all your walls first. Before you attach things. Okay, then I'm going to do the inside wall. Always going about a 1/4 inch in because that's how wide your walls are. Your thickness of your wall. Okay, then I would do the end wall here. I would score that. So this is going to butt up against this. This is going to go on here like this. Another wall would go against here, and so on. Okay, so score everything first before you start putting it together. Okay. Then get your slip. Get a small bowl. Put a little slip in there. You don't need a whole lot. Just enough. You can always go back and get more. When you're done with the slip, you're going to scrape it out with a spoon and put it back in the bowl. Do not flick it everywhere and get all over the floor. If you flick it everywhere, make sure you wipe it up. Okay. So now I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to put slip. I'm dabbing it on there, not brushing on there. If you want to use a brush, you can use a brush, but I would dab it on there. You don't want to brush it. You don't want to rub the slip into the scoring. You just want to dab it on top. If you want to lick your fingers, you can lick your fingers. It's up to you. Then you're going to, now I wouldn't put slip everywhere that you score, just where you're attaching things as you're going along. So do it as you're going along. Remember, this project can be in red or white clay, depending on how many projects you have in red and how many projects you have in white. So this one, I'm going to do these two first. So you would probably do these two first when you do your... Okay. Okay. Now I've scored this. I'm going to take this wall, put it on top of the base, push down, wiggle it back and forth, applying pressure. That's why your walls have to be leather hard, because if you try to do this with wet clay, it's going to collapse on you. And you'll see the ooze squeezing out. That's what you want. You want ooze to squeeze out. It'll squeeze on the inside as well. Then you're going to take your other wall, you're going to push it against that wall and down at the same time. And then rub your finger down the wall so that way you get a good bond. And it's going to ooze out like that as well. If you don't see it oozing, you don't have enough slip, and your wall could fall apart and crack later. So you want to have a good ooze. Then you take your finger, wipe off the excess. Like that. I still have excess on the inside. Let's take my finger, wipe it off. Like that. And you continue building until you get your box form. Okay? Like I said, I'm not going to continue building this because of time constraints, but I will do the lid. So I have make my lid next. Okay, once you have your box constructed, before you make, what do you have to have on your lid?
A lip.
A lip. So before you add your lip, you need to know how big to make your lip. So you're going to measure the inside of your box. So you measure the inside, and this is about 2 inches by 2 inches. I don't want to make it the same size. I want to make it just a little bit smaller. So like 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. So I would probably cut off 1/4 of an inch off 2 sides. That would make it the right size. You can use a ruler to measure, or you can use these. These are called calipers. Calipers measure space. So space measures space. So all you would do is you would put it on here at the right space. You would take your piece and you would make a mark of where the caliper is. He has not shown up yet. Jacob Joseph, right? Oh, sorry. Jacob's here. Sorry. I was thinking of somebody else. Jordan. Sorry, Jacob. There you go. Okay. So you make a mark here. Mark here. Then you make another mark on this side. Mark on this side. Then you would get the square shape with it like that. So I'm going to use this one. Check it, make sure. Yeah, it looks fine. I'll put it on my lid and make sure it's centered. Trace it. So I know where it goes. Okay, so I traced it. All I can say is you guys have to do this project. This is 100 points. You guys need to pay attention. Put it on here. So I'll put it on here. Now I would have to score all this and score all this and then put it together. So when you do large areas like this, scoring, a lot of you may not do it correctly and it'll pop off. Then you'll have the points off for your lip. So what I would do is I would probably take this off I would go a 1/4 inch in. And I would draw a small square in there. So I drew a square. Now I'm going to cut that square out. So I'm going to check on the other side. Take the square out. Clean it up if I need to. Okay, so now I have this. I like that. Put this back on top. Trace the inside square. Now I just have to score and slip this outside area, this square right here, and score and slip this right here. So I don't have to score as much. Okay, and then you score both sides, slip both sides, put it together. You do your lip first. Okay, once your lip is done, also another way to do a lip, just real quick, is those pieces you trimmed off the side of your sides. You can measure once again. Like it's 2 inches, so I'd measure probably 1 3/4. Take a 1/4 inch off. And this is called a rail lip. And they're all the same size, 1 3/4. And then I would put them on here just like I did the sides. Like that. So bump them up like that. So you do a rail lip like this as well. Okay. So however you want to make the lip, that's fine as long as it fits. It's not too loose, not too tight. So make my lip, I'm going to make my handle. Now your handle does not have to be leather hard. You can sculpt something. You make like a butterfly, whatever you want to make. But you still have to score and slip it to the box, to the lid. So you'd have to take the wet clay, score it, put slip there, score this, put slip there, and then stick it together. Your handle has to stick up. It cannot be like a flat piece where it can't be picked up. It has to be picked up by the handle. So you would just, trace where it goes, score that area, score the bottom of the other one, put slip on both sides, squeeze it together, score and slip it together. Now, one thing about your box is that until it gets fired, you don't want to pick it up by its handle. You can break it off because it's really fragile. So always pick it up by its side until it's ready to be fired. Okay. As far as cleaning your box, once this is firmed up a little bit after you score them together, you want to make sure the sides are clean. So one way to do that is with a loop tool. Loop tool you use when clay is leather hard. It's for trimming and carving. And the large loop tool is the large loop tool. So large loop tool, you have a medium loop tool, and the small ones, but the small ones are mostly used for carving designs and stuff. That's how I carved that box there. So for the large loop tool, for the outsides of your box, you're just going to hold that slight angle and gently pull it across and scrape. This is still too wet, but this is just for the purpose of demonstration to see how it cleans up. Okay, so you clean up the sides this way. Just drag it across that way. It'll be a lot more cleaner once it's firmed up a little bit more. So you can do it that way. You can do the smaller one or the medium-sized loop tool on the inside, but in the corners, just pulling up, just to clean up the edges that way. You use a brush and water, however you need to use it. Also, your filling knife, if you have larger areas that need to be trimmed, you can hold that slight angle and just shave off areas that need to be cleaned up. So I'm just shaving it on a slight angle. Shave it off that way. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to clean your box. Okay. Recap. You can roll a slab, how thick? 1/4 inch. And you're going to cut out how many squares? What? 7 or 8. Yeah, you need how many though? 6, but I would cut an extra 1 or 2 out. Okay, they have to be 4 to 6 inches in some measurement. Yeah, you can make a. We'll talk about making a rectangle box if you want to do that. Okay, you let it dry to what? Leather hard before you put it together. Once it's leather hard, then you're going to choose what? You're going to choose what? Your top and your base. Okay, top set aside. Have your base. Then you have 4 walls. What are you going to do to the 4 walls? Not score them. What are you going to do? Cut them in a rectangle. Remember, take a 1/4 inch off, so that way they will fit on top of your base. Then you put them on top of your base to make sure they fit. Once you cut them, put them on top of your base before you even score anything. Put them on top of your base, make sure they fit correctly. Once they fit correctly, then you're going to score. Score a 1/4 inch all the way around on the top of your base. That's where the sides are going to be on top of. Then on your sides, you're going to score where? Where are you going to score on your sides?
2 of
The bottom?
sides, yeah. And then 1 on the, like
One on the end, then on the inside wall. Because remember, a wall's going to butt up this one's going to butt up against another wall. Okay, make sure you know where you're scoring. Remember when you're scoring, it's a crosshatch, deeply, making teeth. Score everything first, where you need to score. And if you have any questions, you always do what? Ask. Okay, once you have everything scored, then you get your slip, red, white for white clay, red for red clay. Put in a bowl, and then you're going to put slip on both places where you scored. So on your base, and then on the bottom of the wall, and then the ends where you're going to attach something to. Slip at both places, then you push it down, wiggle back and forth so it's secure to whatever you're attaching it to. Clean out the excess slip. Once you have all the 4 walls put up and you have your box shape, set that aside. And then you just build what? Lid. Your lid has to have what? A lip and a handle. Which one do you do first? Lip. So you're going to do a lip. What are you going to do first before you make your lip? Measure the inside of your box so you know how big to make your lip. And we make it a little bit smaller than the inside. Not a lot, just a little bit smaller. Now you can make different types of lips. This is a square lip. You can do rail lip, however you want to do it. Make your lip, score and slip it on there. Add your handle. Does your handle have to be leather hard for you to attach it? No, it can be soft, but you still have to score and slip it. Okay. So once you've constructed your box, you clean it up and everything, then you can do whatever you need to do to it. Remember, do not pick it up by its handle. As far as constructing these to make these creative, I showed you the box form. It's very simple. You can do more than 4 sides. If you do more than 4 sides, it becomes a little bit more complicated because then you have to start cutting your walls at angles so they fit on there because they won't just butt up against each other anymore. But I've had people make like little coffins. You can make rectangles, okay, so they can be longer box, they can be taller box. You can attach things to it. I had somebody make a dragon as their handle, and the tail came down and wrapped around their box. But if it wraps around, wherever it touches, wherever you have to score and slip it on here. I've had people take the walls and they want to cut designs out. So they cut design out so that way they can put a candle in here and be like a votive candle holder so it can hold candles so you can see light go through. If you do that, okay, you don't want to put the box together then cut out the shapes. You want to cut out the shapes before you put your box together. If you cut it out, do you want to put the design in the middle of that square? Do you want to put the design in the middle? No. You want to cheat to the short side. If you put it in the middle, it's going to be off-centered. So you kind of have to cheat to this side, the short side, so that way it'll be in the center. So you have to move it over, the design over about 1/8 of a 1/4 of an inch, okay? So just be aware of that. Then you would score and slip it on there. Just be careful when you push down that you don't push so hard that you collapse the wall. Okay. So you can design it that way, however you want to do it. You can carve into it. I carved into this one. This one shows life, death, faith, and then love. Okay, so I just did this one just to make it with the scraps that I had here. So you can design the box any way you want to. Remember, you have to have 2 projects in red, 2 projects in white. Any questions on this project? This one you can start tomorrow if you'd like. You don't need to wait for a bowl or anything like that. You just have to monitor the drying process. What time do we got here?
36.
36, okay. I have one more thing to tell you, but I'll tell you tomorrow about your projects. Well, all the projects, okay? That's it for today.